Hi guys, it's April, and it's time to talk about what I read in November. So I know it's been a while since you guys have seen my face. November was kind of chaotic. I got sick in the middle of it, and then I got busy in the middle of it. I tried to keep videos coming out, and I hope you guys appreciated them. And I know it wasn't quite my usual fare, but the plan is to get back on track in December. So if you want to keep up with everything that is going to be going on with my face, with my reading, with my coloring, I don't care, any of it, subscribe down below, and of course, click the bell. I've never really done that before, but I felt like I should maybe say that in case you haven't, because that's a thing that people do. Beyond all of that and my beautiful pink Christmas tree that actually needs officially decorated, I've only got this section decorated right now. Don't judge me. We're gonna get into what I read. So for the month of November, I read a total of 8 books, which brings my reading total to 161 books read so far this year. And while I have surpassed my reading goal for the year, I don't think I'm going to reach my stretch goal of 200 books. I would have to read 40 books in the month of December, and I don't see that happening because I also have to do other things, but maybe odder things have happened. From those 8 books, it was 3,005 pages, bringing my total page count to 48,605 pages read so far. My average reading speed hasn't really changed all that much. I'm a little lower than I have been for most of the year. I'm at about 146 pages a day, but it's still averaging about 2 days per book. Maybe it's just I'm starting to read less, but smaller books, so it's equaling itself out at math and equations and charts. They're things. But with all of that out of the way, I will start talking about the things that I've read because I've read some really good things. The first book I'm going to talk about is my book club book for work, and that is Steal Like an Artist by Austin Kleon. This is a reread for me. I picked this book because I figured my people at work would really truly enjoy it. And while it is written and directed at artists and how we get ideas and how it's okay that they come from other people's ideas, it also has a lot of relevance for everybody else who has ever had an idea in their life. Because let's be honest, there's probably nothing new under the sun. We've just kind of reformulated it and made it our own. And I really like how he has put it all together in this little tiny book and how he's just made it so pretty and cute, and it's something I recommend for everybody to read at some point in their life. Anybody who does anything creative, anybody who thinks, anybody who breathes. So basically, if you're human, you should probably read this book. And then I finally got around to The Crow by Alison. This is book 3 of the Pellinor series, and right now, it is my favorite book of this series. I have made it a goal this year to complete the whole Pellinor series. I've read the first 2 books before, but now I'm finally in the part of the series that I have never touched or read before, and I'm really super excited because this book was not at all what I expected to be. Instead of following Myriad, this book follows him, her brother. You get to see everything from his perspective and all the things that are going on in his part of the whole equation of everything that is going down in the Pellinor universe. And what I like most about him is the fact that he can talk to birds. I don't know what it is, but I always attach myself with characters who associate themselves with animals. So Hem has been a favorite of mine in this series, so getting a book that's completely dedicated to him was kind of exciting. There is one thing about the whole Pellinor series though, is the fact that it has a lot of very familiar tropes and storylines. It doesn't feel that new, and maybe it's just because I've read way too many things. So while I really enjoyed it, it also wasn't anything truly outlandish or new to me, so it wasn't as exciting as I felt it could have been. I also picked up Romanov by Nadine. This is a magical realism story about the Romanov family, so Anastasia. I got really excited when I learned about what all of this is about. It takes the idea that the Bolsheviks and the Romanovs are at conflict with each other because of magic. And I did really like it for that aspect, and I did like getting to know Anastasia and how she interacted with her family. I loved the family dynamic in this book. However, I know it is a work of fiction, but sometimes I like my historical fiction to still follow the storyline properly. And I know for a long time there, it was a possibility that Anastasia lived, which is why we have all the Anastasia retellings. I mean, I guess if you want to completely rewrite history and take it off into its own universe, but this book doesn't take it that far. It gets only this far, and then it's like but that's not even a possibility because that's not how history worked. So I had a little bit of conflict of that. I'm trying to be vague, just in case you want to read this if you like historical fiction, if you like magical realism. Like I said, I really enjoyed the family dynamic in this book. I liked how they were playing with magic. It felt short, and it went in a way that I started debating history with the book, and that was a thing that happened. I also picked up Paranormalcy, Supernaturally, and Endlessly. I only have a physical copy of Supernaturally, but I did read the whole series. This follows Evie, who is a human girl who can see through magical disguises. She has a whole organization that is centered around her because of this ability, who tries to manage all of these supernatural beings. I have read the first book in this series before, and I haven't ever really been super excited about it. It felt very much like a Buffy knockoff, which is why I think Kiersten White was later picked up for Slayer. But in this series, Evie is a very annoying version of Buffy, and that's all I had in my brain the whole time I was reading this series. So I didn't really like it as much as I could have. Young me probably would have loved this series. The way the Fae are thrown into this, how we see all these supernatural creatures, how Evie is just her own woman, and how she is the center of the universe. But grown-up me finds her very annoying, doesn't like the fact that her world is centered around a boy very quickly, and that she's very annoying. She's so annoying, I had to say that twice. I love Kiersten White's writing. I love Slayer. I really liked The Dark Descent of Elizabeth Frankenstein and her And I Darken series, but this series right here, I was very disappointed in. But Supernova by Marissa Meyer completely made up for all of that, because this book came out and I binge read this like crazy. This whole series takes the hero and the anti-hero and all of those superhero tropes and mixes it up in a way that only Marissa Meyer can. And the things that happened in this book, there was so much anxiety, and there was a few things that I was kind of guessing at and have been guessing at for a while that sort of got confirmed in this. And I'm not at all disappointed on how it ended, which is a very good thing because it could go clear off in a direction that could have been very unfortunate. But I liked seeing the conflict between these two characters as they're trying to choose between family and friend and duty and right and wrong, and how all of that can mess you up in the head, especially when you have supernatural powers. But I won't lie, the whole time I have been reading this series, I have been thinking about Brandon Sanderson. The Reckoner series and the Renegades series both are our series. Both of them deal with superheroes, and both of them follow somewhat of similar story arcs in certain places. And so there were things as they were happening here, I was comparing it to that series, and I was trying to pull myself back from it. All in all, I wasn't at all disappointed on how Marissa Meyer told this story. I highly recommend it for anybody who likes a good anti-hero, superhero story arc. Read it. And last but not least, a book I probably shouldn't have saved for the very end of this wrap-up, but it happened, oh well, and that is How to Buy the Love of Reading by Tanya Gibson. I thought this was going to be a book about the love of reading being instilled in someone. This was not at all what this book was about. This is about high society. This is about human nature and how we can royally mess each other up. This is about friendship and how mental illness doesn't always end well. This should have been titled How to Buy the Love of Writing. It was a book that tried to be a commentary on itself, and I don't think it quite got to where it wanted to be. It was confusing at parts because you had to readjust where you were at in the story and who was talking and what was going on, because it was all over the place, and it wasn't in a fashion that was easy to understand, so it was confusing. I really wanted to like this book because the title spoke to the reader in me, but this book wasn't for the reader in me. It was a weird mess of human nature and emotions and people who have way too money for what life should have given them. And that's all I'm going to say. So those were all of the books that I read in the month of November. I would love to hear what you guys have read so far this year. What are a few books that you're hoping to read before the end of the year? Let me know down below. And of course, if you would always like to see my face every time I upload, subscribe, hit the bell, and I heart your beautiful faces. Bye.